the way to become interesting is to become interested. And I once heard this this Swedish princess Victoria. She was asked by a journalist, you seem to be so, when you all go to all these Nobel Prize dinners and all this, you seem to you seem so involved in the conversation. How do you get, you don't know these people, they're strangers to you. How do you have these interesting conversations? And she said, well, first of all, it's like a Nobel Prize winner. It's bound to be an interesting person next to me. But more importantly, my mother, the Queen, told me that whenever your job is to find, every person has a story, and your job is to find that person's story. So if you approach any meeting like that every person has an interesting story, and my job is to find that interesting story, you use your curiosity, and you will find things that connect you, or things that you will learn from, or something that you found interesting.
So when I think about this, because I've heard the saying, and you probably have heard it too, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so, but there's so many people when they enter into conversations that spend their time thinking about themselves and don't really care because they want to get their point across, or they want to make that sell, or they want it, like they come into that conversation not curious because they don't care about that other person. I mean, so how do we help people like realize, no, the most important part of your conversation is to understand the person you're talking to first before you start trying to give a message or something like that?
The way to become interesting is to become interested. So if you are really interested in learning something new about another person, then you can have this long, if you start asking questions, and you can have a person talk about themselves for a whole dinner, and after they will say, oh, thank you, you're such an interesting person. You haven't said anything, you just let them talk about themselves. But more importantly, you've learned something, right? So if the idea is I want to find out something interesting, that should be the approach for the conversation. I want to learn something.